Welcome to Back to Our Roots Bible Study with everyone's favorite, Sister Sonia, Papa O, and Abraham, giving you a modern day look at new aspects in the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation and everything in between. You've chosen, shall I say, a dark horse this weekend, Abraham.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Sister Sonia would love to be here with us, but she was probably taken away by one of them. If you think her daddy may be one of those for, So, yeah. Break us in on the topic.
The four horsemen of the apocalypse.
It was a scary time, nonetheless. Would you like to read it, or shall I?
I can read it. Revelation 6, chapter 2. Revelation chapter 6, verse 2. Immediately I saw a horse appear, and its rider was holding a bow. He was given a victor's crown, and he went away to go from victory to victory. When he broke the second seal, I heard the second living creature shout, "Come!" And out came another horse, bright red, and its rider was given this duty, to take away peace from the earth and some people killing each other. And he was given a huge sword. When he broke the third seal, I heard the third living creature shout, "Come!" Immediately I saw a black horse appear, and its rider was holding a pair of scales, and I seemed to hear a voice shout among the four living creatures, "A day's wages for a quart of corn, and a day's wages for 3 quarts of barley, but do not tamper with the oil or the wine." When he broke the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature shout, "Come!" Immediately I saw another horse appear, deathly pale, and its rider was called, and Hades followed at its heels. They were given authority to the quarter of the earth, to kill by the sword, by famine, by plague, and through wild beasts.
Wow.
Just a little reading.
Now, what are these? Are these like in the same sort of ranking as the Behemoth and the Leviathan?
But the interesting part is in Zechariah, it says they had chariots. In the book of Zechariah. Believe it. Let me see if I can find it.
I'm going to tell you. Do you see the difference between a chariot and a horse?
Yeah.
A chariot almost denotes like royalty.
I'll let you decide. You tell me what you think. The eighth vision, the chariots, in the book of Zechariah, chapter 6, says, "Again I raised my eyes, and this is what I saw. 4 chariots coming out between 2 mountains. And the mountains were mountains of like a bunker. The first chariot had red horses. The second chariot had black horses. The third chariot had white horses. And the fourth chariot had vigorous, high-balled horses. And I asked the angel, who was talking to me? What were these, my Lord? The angel replied, they are the 4 winds of heaven now leaving, after attending the Lord of the whole world. The black horses are leaving for the land of the north. The white are following them. and the piebald are leaving the land of the south. They came out vigorously, eager to patrol the world. He said to them, go and patrol the world. And they patrolled the world. He called to me and said, look, the winds blowing to the land of the north brought my spirit to rest on the land of the north. Now, I don't even think these are the same things. I think this is like counterforce.
Well,
I think they're sending out the.
Okay. No, you
What
tell
do you
me.
think? I was kind of thinking like God sends out the chariots and somebody else sends out the 4 horsemen.
It sort of bothers me that there are horses, because where there is a horse, there is usually a horseman. So that is one of the things. That's one of the things, it felt very Enochian. It felt like like the cherubim and the seraphim and if he.
So these all go together. That was the thing that I thought was kind of an odd kind of duckling.
Yeah.
Ezekiel 14, chapter 14, verse 15. And this was the other one that. Where it says, the word of Yahweh was addressed to me, Son of man, when a country sins against me by being unfaithful, when I point my finger at it and destroy its supply of food, inflicting famine on it and denuding it of human and animal. Even if the 3 men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were living in it, they would save no one but themselves by their uprightness, declare the Lord Yahweh. Where idle meets the wild beasts in the country to rob it of its children, and reduce it to a desert which no one would dare to cross. Even if these 3 men were living there as I live, declares the Lord Yahweh, they would not be able to save either son or daughter. They alone would be saved, and the country would become a desert. Were I to bring the sword down on that country and say, sword, cross the country, so as to denude it of human and animal, even if these 3 men were living there, as I live, declares the Lord Yahweh, they would not be able to save either son or daughter. They alone would be saved. If I were to send the plague on that country and vent my fury on the bloodshed, so as to denude it of human and animal, even if Noah and Daniel and Job were living there, as I live, declares the Lord Yahweh, they would be able to save neither son nor daughter themselves by their uprightness. And then this is, the Lord Yahweh said, even if I send my 4, he says that my 4 dreadful scourges on Jerusalem, sword, famine, wild beasts, and plague, denude it of a human and animal. Even so, there will be a remnant left, a few men and women who come through. When they come to you and you see their conduct and actions, you will take comfort in spite of the disaster which I have brought on Jerusalem, in spite of all I have brought on her. And then and Ezekiel calls it the 4 scourges of God. And it's kind of take a second.
See, okay. These creatures or things have existed since before
Creation.
they have been. Yeah. Where did they come from? Because they appear all throughout the Bible. I
was thinking maybe the Zechariah was the past. Like maybe this wouldn't be the first time they've galloped.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. And I'm thinking, what about it like, what about scarlet fever, tuberculosis? Is that him sending World War I, World War II?
Is it like a soul kind of
Because
thing?
there are times when
Like
that's
we
what
as a
I'm
society
wondering.
feed their
Have
powers, like almost like a food. The more we worry, the more they get fed, like off of suffering, or like kind of like a parasite.
To me, I think it's like um this over I think that they put things into play. That they allow themselves to be. To me, the picture in my head is like fumes, and people are reacting to
Like a
what is in
miasma,
the air, because they're also referred to as the four winds.
like a radiation.
But do you realize the four winds are also mentioned in the Book of Enoch?
Um, let's see. All four of these can be caused by gas. All four of these can be caused by a form of a wind, so to speak. Biological weapons, chemical weapons, they can wipe out crops, they can turn entire cities to ash, they can turn things into deserts,
See, that
and
is
they're
why I
used to
was that's why I was thinking to myself, and okay, this is the other thing I'm thinking. When we deal with one of these things, it's just usually we have gotten used to one little thing in one area or one big thing in an area, not with all of them happening at once. It's like fighting yourself on four sides. Only one
forefront.
country's four fronts. Only one country's been able to do that. I won't mention which country.
But if you read further on, it even talks about people hiding in the mountains, which is like Mount Weather and NORAD, and they tremble with fear in the mountains. So that would be a bunker.
As it was said.
But it was written 2,000 years ago, so how would they have known?
Well, that's the baffling part. One of the other things I want to break down the things that they're carrying and their appearance. I'd
The scales,
also, yeah, I'd also like to bring up. I think that you should be allowed to pray to the Greek pantheon when because Hades has been mentioned a whole bunch of times, and if Hades exists, shouldn't all the rest of the stories be true?
it's interesting because the way they kind of present the, I believe it's the fourth horseman, the black horseman, is kind of like Kronos.
Yeah, that was to me that was part of the. They feel like I've seen them drawn up as kings, but when I picture them, they have a very primordial primordial energy to them. They
Every one of
have,
these been here as long as we have.
and that to me, I think that they have a very raw feeling.
when the first man got a fever and passed away or got a cough, or the first time the first farmer's field crop failed.
You know what also scares me? Is the trumpets that we're hearing, are they happening right now with global climate change? Was it
It's odd too, because if you think about it, there's been a lot of horns they've been hearing out of nowhere, all over the world, just a trumpet blast.
Abraham? I'm going to tell you, I would poop my pants if I heard an angelic horn.
Wouldn't it be like a shofar or a shofar? Because that's
I
haunting.
Yes, I don't think it is. I don't think it's going to be like a meh, you gotta blow, Gabriel, blow. No, I don't
It's
think
gonna
it's
be
going to be
long,
like that. Yeah, I think it's going to
like
be
drawn out, ethereal.
it will be the noise that make everybody's look, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye shall see him, you know? I think very much it's going to be a noise that turns the world, you know?
Like, kind of like the emergency broadcast
Like
system.
like you get oh, see, stop going into the modern day. It's bad enough in fantasy, but yeah, it
The
would be very
divine
much like the
EAS, divine emergency system. This is a message from the Archangel Gabriel. Get ready for some stuff to go down.
oh,
Here's the message from your sponsors, the Four Horsemen. Remember to invest in bonds.
and I am going to tell you, it was bad enough back back in the ancient times, but to think of it in a modern context, because I would like to do that too. I would
Well,
like to see if it was in a if it was
the part
representing people, who would they be?
the part in Ezekiel 14:15 when it talked about wild beasts emptying the countryside and people not being able to go out into the countryside because of these wild beasts. What do you think these wild beasts are? Because it was referenced as maybe one of
Okay,
the four horsemen. This would probably
I
be an
am go-
aspect of death.
one of my theories. I do not believe that we are. I believe that we are just going to be destroyed in ice. Okay, that is what I believe.
And when our
I
numbers dwindle, we'll drop down the food pyramid.
No, I think that the wealthy don't intend on staying in Mars, that go there, spend some time, and then fly back. It's 30 years each way. So you have to build arcs. But I think when they come back, humans are not going to be the top of the food chain. There is
If there's
going
any
to
of
be,
us left.
yeah, there's going to be another species, and like take it like that. That when he in Zechariah, when he says horses, um, these are the people who are left. You know.
Technology would have went so far back that we're back to using chariots again.
Oh,
And swords.
well, I'm going to tell you, we realized that petrol was the death of us. You know.
So it's going to have to go back pre-industrial revolution to survive.
and I'm hoping that I'm really hoping that they do it. I, I'm I'm hoping for you, world, my
What I'm
species,
hope, what I'm hoping is we're able to stop this from happening. We're able to get the, all these greenhouse gases in check before this all happens. And see, greenhouse gases, the green or the gray horse.
hmm Yeah,
That's kind of
because it really has that feel. Um, I watched as the lamb opened the first of the seven seals. Then I heard one of the four living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come!" I looked, and there before me was the white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and rode out as to conquer bent on conquest. Okay. With a voice like thunder,
oof.
and and the rider held a bow.
Sounds like
So
nuclear weapons.
it's it is a warrior that does not want to get close. You know,
Ballistic missiles, because when they go off, they sound like thunder, and when they hit, they sound like thunder. And it goes up like a bow, like an arrow.
and a conqueror bent to conquest.
But what's
And
the point of
we
conquering
had
something if you can't use it?
um
It's so focused on.
part of conquering is destroying, and especially in America, post Blitzkrieg, because I think that America does use Blitzkrieg now. If you really think about it, we fight a lightning war now. Sans Afghanistan. We don't want to even get started, but we try to get in and out. And missiles do. We have seen the horror of nuclear weapons
And thus the deserts they speak of. These deserts, like nationwide deserts.
because they're, even if they are covered in nature, they are still deserts to humanity.
And if you think about it, if we had an ice age, it would still be a tundra and it would be a desert.
Truth.
So you could have these beasts, whatever they are, roaming the countryside.
Because I'm going to tell you, these beasts need to, these large beasts need to be there because they are an intricate part of,
Recovery.
yeah, like the mammoth, you
Boom,
know.
boom, boom, boom.
See, and there, I'm going to tell you, that is when we start seeing things like the Leviathan and the Behemoth, because you need those very large animals to fuel the change.
Here's an interesting thing. It says somewhere that in the days of Noah, so shall the days of the coming of the Son of Man be. And if you read, when we read the book of Enoch, it talked about, and in the book of Genesis, it says all flesh became corrupted. And that can be interpreted to mean genetic engineering. Like they could have brought these dinosaurs back, like Jurassic Park style.
Well, it honestly, if you look at it, the Mammoth Step program, do you know about that?
You've
Where
talked
they're
about it a
doing
couple
the
times.
they are doing genetic engineering to bring back things like the mammoth and the hairy rhino and the
Cave
auroch.
lion.
You know, well, the cave lion, to keep these animals in check. You know, because we can't just build the vegetarians or
Predators.
vegetarian. Yeah, you have to bring their predator back as well.
And the cave, oh, it would mean cave bears too, wouldn't it?
And I'm going to tell. I look forward to seeing a mammoth or an auroch. You know,
I'll cry.
it. I think I will too. But it will. And almost that's the conquering of conquering. Once, if you can change everybody's mind, you would be able to be the conqueror of conquerors. And he's not, correct me if I'm wrong, he's not carrying, and he was given a crown.
So who gave it to him?
Yes, and he was given a crown.
So this force showed these horsemen show up, and someone's standing back going, crown, crown.
Correct.
So who's this fifth person? The fifth horseman?
Well,
Us?
I would agree. I would agree. I'm going to tell you, capitalism. Think about capitalism and what people will do for 30 pieces of gold, 30 pieces of silver.
Or a crown. Social media shows what people will do for a crown. The Miss America, all these different competitions.
The monarchy. And then
So, Doc,
when the lamb
what would you
opened
do?
this, what?
What would you do for a crown?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I am definitely no Jesus Christ because I cannot. When the devil tempted him, I would
I'd
have
have
been,
took that off
yes.
the record. Let me shine your horns for a few minutes.
I would be like Little Nas.
Little Nas X.
Yes, I would totally be. When the Lamb opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, "Come." Then another horse came out, a fiery red one. Its rider was given the power to take peace from the earth and to make men slay each other. To him was given a large sword.
Sounds like social media. Red would be Gevurah, which was strength in the Kabbalah. It's also the color of purity.
Well, I was thinking of all also what what's Malala said when about fiery. It is sort of like the tongue, the fire that everybody can hear. Also the tongues of fire on the apostles, being able to translate through everything. And if you really think about it, the power to take peace from the earth and make men slay each other. Holy shit, that happened this summer, sort of.
They got
With
red with,
social,
rage, hate.
I couldn't.
Hate is able to do that above anything else.
I'm not sure why people hate so much, though. That is one of the things. And how the internet does carry a large sword. Because if you think about it, it is sort of like the UN. Because the internet does not belong to anybody yet. Elon, I see what you're doing.
Well, it goes white, red, black, green, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it would go from the crown of Keter, then it would go down to strength of Gibora. So when people have their crowns, these people have their power, then they want to exercise their strength. But after that happens, they would go to Bina and have to start to have understanding. And then finally, when you get to the gray or green house, it can mean two things. It could either be victory and wisdom. Like after this happens, we will have to have the wisdom to know not to do it again.
I am going to tell you, one of the powerful things is when each section very clearly says living creatures,
Living, as in breath.
is that these are not like angels.
So they would have a soul.
Yeah.
If they have the living breath, then they have a soul. If they used, I don't know what the word would have been. Would it have been like the Hebrew nefesh? Like God breathed life into them?
That's what the angels have no souls.
And they don't breathe.
So they could not be angels or Nephilim.
And they couldn't be demons or representatives of the devil either.
Truth, because they say, I heard the second living creature say, why put that in?
So they're men.
They are. They
They're flesh and
represent
blood men, or people, or groups of people,
or people within spirits.
Well,
When the
that's
lamb
not true.
when the lamb opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was the black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his in his hand. Then I heard what sounded like the voice among the four living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a day's wages, and 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine,"
Which are liquids.
which was basically
the feminine aspect. It says destroy the masculine, but not the feminine.
I also find when it's talking about wheat and barley, what are you thinking of? That's either bread or beer.
Yeah. And they're symbols of masculinity.
Well, masculine and femininity. I would say
there's like an aspect.
That's what I would think.
And oil and wine come from the trees, but the grains come from the ground.
Truth. So you also have
vine.
That it's the binary. The thing that sort of scares
the thing that scares you
is food insecurities and food becoming too expensive, I'm going to tell you,
Already it is.
you can destroy a people by destroying their food.
Sustenance.
Yeah,
It's been proven with sieges.
to me, I think that diabetes. I know I'm probably sounding like the crazy one, but I think certain societies have been prone for diabetes, and I think that is because of
Healthy foods not being available.
colonizers basically changing the natural diet. But you know what the scales also remind me of?
Balance. Like things will return to normal. I mean, not our normal. I mean, the ecological normal. The ecological normal.
But it also, who carries the scales in Egyptian?
Cut me off. Anubis,
Yeah.
god of death, or the transporter of souls. And the Leviathan would be Sobek, the crocodile, the devourer of souls.
Mm-hmm.
You are weighed on the scales and found wanting.
And let's take a look at this. The barley and the wheat change prices, which could be a reference to beer, but the oil and the wine stay the same. What is sacred, what is man's offering, is undervalued, but the holy liquids, oil and wine, do not change. The spirit does not change.
Now, would this go back to the curse of Cain? The mark of Cain?
It's feeling that way.
Or the curse that God put on Adam and Eve about the sweat of your brow?
The thing about it is, I don't think it would be the curse of Adam and Eve.
Cain was the first
But Cain and Abel,
brother.
Now Cain and Abel, yes. That one's person offering is not as good as another person's.
But they don't mention livestock at this point.
Mm-mm.
Which means there probably is none left.
Well, they're mentioning in this part, if we're taking it as moments, right now the grains are dying and becoming us eat or they eat,
So the grain would be white mold?
Thank you for joining us on Back to Our Roots Bible Study. This week has been an amazing one. Join us next week as we conquer another topic and open our eyes to a new verse. Join us every Sunday with Back to Our Roots Bible Study.